Today I'm taking the train from Cardiff to London via Great Western Railways. I'll show you what it's like to ride this train, where you can sit because it's a bit confusing, any interesting views you can encounter along the route, and I'll also explain the stations that you'll be passing through in this journey. My journey began at Cardiff's Queen Street, where I had to take a local train to get the main train stations at Cardiff Central. Trains leaving Cardiff only go from there. The local rail trains are actually fairly nice, fairly modern, even if they look a bit dated, and they do come with charging port. Once I got to Cardiff Central Street, I literally rushed to catch my Great Western Railway train, and there it is. I'll show you a quick tour of how the train looks like. It is modern inside, and you do have a nice big toilet. I had booked the standard off-peak train ticket, which means I could travel anytime that isn't busy. It's a bit confusing the way it works in the UK, but basically in this train, I can take any seat as long as it's not occupied by people. There is actually a sign that tells you if it's occupied. And I decided to just go for this one so I can get some work done, and the views were nice as well. As we took off, I then said goodbye to Cardiff. It's been an absolute pleasure. I did film a few videos here, so check them out, and we were passing by the outer Cardiff suburbs. This journey actually does take an hour and 52 minutes, depending on traffic, but it never exceeds 2 hours. And usually from Cardiff Central to London Paddington, you pass by Newport, Bristol Parkway, Swindon, Reading, and then finally London Paddington. I'm actually really happy that the weather was so nice on today's trip because we got to see the beautiful Welsh countryside. Just look at how green that is. And the city of Newport is actually just a 10 to 15-minute ride from Cardiff Central. Newport actually has two really, really beautiful clock towers that I saw on my journey from London Paddington to Cardiff Central, but unfortunately on the return trip I didn't see them. But it does have a pretty modern train station. Yeah, my fellow passengers over there are in a really, really good mood. I wonder what they're laughing about. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Now, we didn't actually stop too long in Newport, and we were off just like that, really quickly. I got to see a really rare freight train. Freight, I can never pronounce that word. But yeah, that's an interesting one, and I love the graffiti. Who do you think actually puts in the graffiti there, and what's the point? I never really understood that part of the graffiti. Do you think it's just hooligans, kids? Well, but we'll never know. But yeah, at least the weather's still nice. And we have officially left Wales. It's not actually clear when we did because the English border isn't actually marked, but this is Bristol Parkway. On the journey from London Paddington to Cardiff Central, you can actually see the exact order where Wales begins and England ends, but in here you can't really. But it's not so busy today in Bristol Parkway, and we were off again. We didn't stay too long in Bristol either. This actually, these fields actually remind me of the old Windows XP from the 2000s. It's so close to them. But these fields are what makes England such a really, really beautiful and special place. Because when you think of England, you see like all these old buildings and London and stuff. But there's so much beautiful countryside and so many beautiful places, but they're not known. But so it's great that when you're passing through this, you generally just get a small chance to peek into that world. That I think it's kind of sad that we don't really see too much of these days.
Apologies for any inconvenience caused. Once again, we are just being held just one signal outside of.
Now you know London is definitely getting closer when you start to see these kinds of buildings and these kinds of suburbs. But we're not actually close to London yet. We're in Swindon now. Swindon's pretty close to London though. We still have Reading and then we have London Paddington, but we're getting close. And Again, this train doesn't usually stop too long in any of these stops, so if you do arrive, come in really early. Otherwise, the trains will go. They really, really don't care here. It's almost mechanical. They have tight deadlines to keep. Are you entertained? The reason why it's called the Great Western Railway or GWR is it's not just some heartless corporation. Like there used to be so many of these mini regional corporations that it was hard to figure out who was doing what. It provided a connection between like the entire area of southern Wales, southwestern England, like Plymouth and Cornwall, and into one area that's connected directly to London, making travel really easy. So there were a lot of rich people who wanted to get their property, and this was the easiest way. We're now approaching Reading, and I swear, the minute we approach Reading, the entire atmosphere shifts. It's like it went from this super quiet, super manageable, super human like vibe in the train to where like you can sit wherever you want. And the minute we approached Reading, like it was packed with people. You couldn't even film anymore. And you'll see what I mean a bit. I don't remember a family that sat next to me, and the train just became crowded with people. Yeah, you can see like through that window. But yeah, and that just reminds you how large and big and sometimes overwhelming London is. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, there's Reading. Again, like in all of these other spots, we didn't stop in Reading, and it's cool to think about that you can actually take the Heathrow, like a train to Heathrow directly from Reading, because Reading and Windsor are actually like opposites, because one is rich and one is poor, I think, or and yeah, that kind of thing basically. But yeah, we're now going to our final stop of London Paddington. But it's so nice to see that there's still so much like green space in London because all of this is like suburban, but there's still so much green space and it's so beautiful.
quello lo capisco pure io. E io a volte mi rendo conto pure con lui, quando ci sono delle luci io comprendo benissimo e invece altri non capisco niente.
Ma dobbiamo scendere? Sì.
Change here for London Underground, Bacon, Saltcoats District and Hammersmith.
To go back to our story, once you get off London Paddington, you can actually see a statue of that Isambard engineer guy. He does have a pretty weird name, and if you ever do the British citizenship test, he does actually come up there. He's one of the biggest people in the UK in terms of engineering. And there's London Paddington. I can just feel the atmosphere shifting. Lucky this time, my bag is with me because last time I did almost forget my bag in the train. Yeah, and we're getting off. It was actually a really nice Easter day because I took this trip during the Easter break this year, and it was such a fun trip. Overall, I love this GWR service. They do even have a cart. I just didn't film it this time, and you can buy stuff, but it's always not always guaranteed, and it's pretty cheap as well. But I always encourage you to bring snacks if you ever do come. And here's the Isambard guy coming along, and because this is just a tribute to him as a guy, because he was such important. So thanks so much for watching. What did you think of the video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Drop me a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Have a lovely one. See you next time, and we're going to Iceland next. Bye.